Alright, we've got Z2R standard round 1, game 3, Bond versus Sawneyrath. So it's kind of a winner go home. Loser goes to Nibiru Invitational, but winner continues on. Alright, I love this scene, and then I will hand it off to Elendar.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to some late night ZSR. As mentioned, last round of the sort of what Challenge calls round 2, but I'm going to call round 1 of the bracket stage. And it should be a good match. Sawneyrath and Vaughn. This is game 3, so we've already at least had some back and forth going on. Could be anybody's race. Winner of this race going on to face, spoiler alert for anyone not looking at the bracket, Level Engine in the next round. Loser, of course, welcome in the NIT, which will also be a whole bunch of fun. Kick it off in just a little bit here. For anyone who hasn't seen bracket races yet, same as it was in Swiss, same flags, just some pretty normal stuff going on. And we are off. And Mountains, Vanilla-like, who knows what this is. Got a 3 or 6 sighting, and Sawneyrath's gonna check, they're both gonna check. Red Iron Knuckle, good to check this early. If it's like 200, it'd be a good early farm, though. Wow, they rolled up quite a bit and only 70 points. So both runners looking downward, definitely not looking like mountainous, more like a vanilla lake probably. That's a kind of a big lake. Does this swamp connect over? Looks like maybe. The mountain there with a cave. Okay, yeah, so the whole thing connects around. Not actually useful lakes. And Medicine Cave at 112 can be spooky. Looks like the enemies aren't too hard this time. Vaughn gonna continue onward, and it's rewarded with some currently useless extra magic. We'll see if that encourages Vaughn to prioritize some spells early. Just a pea bag, and it's 50 bucks. We get 2, about to be 3 of our items real quick here in the West. Not going to be too cruel. Medicine is good. You definitely want to see that before you find Mito. I believe it's Mito. I'm terrible with town names. But you'd like to have a jump or fairy as well, so you can just one-shot the entire town. Get at least 1 rock block cave. Looks like they're, I think that's likely not to be a connector, just based on how far north they are. Although it looks like there's a road that goes up there, so maybe I'm wrong. Are we gonna get an orange diary check? We are. Attack 1, making not too terrible work of them. 50 points. Our red diary is a good farm today. Not if you get axed. But damage in swamps can be tricky. Because, you normally just want to keep jumping at them as long as you jump aggressively at them. You'll jump over the axes if needed, but in a swamp, you can't do that, and so you have to be a lot more cautious. First town setting, and I already missed the spell. Oh man, Sawneyrath with community text, a man after my heart. Reflect in Raru. Von saw the sign in Mito. Okay, shield. I don't know. I feel like maybe you want to come and get that. I understand Von's being like, I don't want to go into that town until I have the ability to do it all at once, but hints are still valuable early, and these swamps are kind of brutalizing our runners. A shield spell wouldn't be a terrible pickup. Okay, so that cave just to pass through. Sawneyrath gonna check this other side, which makes sense. Check your corners, make sure that you don't miss anything. I'm gonna do Medicine Cave, and right, it's another place where shield spell would help. Yeah, you think, oh, it'll probably cost me about a minute to go get that shield spell, so you have to, is that shield spell gonna make up a minute worth of time? You know, maybe. I mean, that game over, that death there probably cost in the neighborhood of 20 seconds or so, and you know, each death costs time, but more so, you know, in the aggregate, eventually you take a game over, and that can cost you minutes. Bond choosing to hold it, try to get attack 2. Makes sense. This attack 1 has been bad for our runners. That sucks. He didn't take the level. Winted took a lava bath to get out quickly, and then ended up having to up A anyway, so just not getting that magic level for free. Okay, so it definitely looks like you're gonna have to take one of these pass-through caves to advance here on the west. And both Vaughn and Sawneyrath are rapidly approaching, finished 500 from the small enemy drop group. Okay, that's where the XP is. It's gonna have Sawneyrath and jump all the way to attack 3. Okay, and here's this connection. Okay, so you can go east, you can go north. And yeah, it looks like it's just a 2-section vanilla like that rolled a bit weird. Sawneyrath finds Parappa Cave, so this is a good way up to the north. Certainly the fastest way. Maybe the road would have been faster, hard to say. But, okay, so I don't entirely like this decision by Sawneyrath to, when you come out of that cave, you have to figure you're probably all the way on the east side already, or at least close to the east side. And it's better to check the edge of the map you're closest to. Because if you go west and you end up going all the way across the map, but then you didn't check the northeast corner, now you have to go all the way across the map again. Versus just checking the thing that's close to you, seeing your corner, seeing your edges of your maps, looking for bridges and rafts, and then work your way inward from there, and you can sort of do the whole thing in the west in one trip. Karak disappears with the trophy for a life spell. So probably not going to be seeing that one, but good, you know you don't need the item in 4. Go east to find the boots. Okay, useful hints. Depends on how good the boots are, but I mean, already in the west here, there's a couple places where the boots would save some time. Reverse end of Jump Cave is navigable. And it looks like you're going to have to navigate it. It doesn't look like you can go anywhere else. And this could be rough. 313 isn't too bad on levels, but Dark reverse jump cave can be real cruel if it rolls a bunch of red Dyras. Definitely something that's good to practice is fighting various kinds of enemies in this cave. Okay, 100's also in the small enemy pool, so it's not all gas. Okay, first screen easy, second screen not so bad. We'll see how good the third screen is for Sawney. Just a bunch of moblins. Even more moblins. Alright, no problem. And another 500, and Sawney looks like gonna go for attack 4. I like it. Get those attack levels, gotta go fast. Here's Hard Container Cave as a reward. Von, just on Sawney's heels, gonna be in Jump Cave shortly here. Just doing a little bit of a exhaustive check to make sure that those sections line up the way that he thinks they do. And yeah, it's sort of a big linear path you had to go through here. Wow, the linear path keeps going over. It's kind of long and snaky. A lot of things to go through. And now it's Saria. Spell. So that's not going to give him free access. We gotta see a Bagu hint here. I know a lot of runners have not been picking up the Bagu hints, but I think this is exactly where you want to get. And Sawney's going to beeline for it. Pick up spell on the way back. And I'm wrong. Maybe Sawney hasn't done too much 4.3, but the Bagu hint is now on the Riverman for a couple of reasons. And so Sawney just getting the far hints. I mean, it's probably true that Bagu's Woods is like the woods right to the side here. But still, I feel like you want to check it. But we're gonna see. Oh, never mind. I'm wrong. It looks like there's a. Is that a pass-through cave? No, I think that was Hard Container Cave. Yeah, that's Hard Container Cave. You cannot pass there. Sorry, appears to be the only way to fly. Unless there's a connector up here that we missed, but we've seen all the connector caves, I think. It would just be a cave off the island. Our last palace, so we've seen 3 or 6, 4, and GP are palaces for the west. Kind of an awkward spot for GP to be in. It's going to be a bit of a walk, though. Doing 4 into GP at the end here wouldn't be terrible. When Sawneyrath is not convinced, I feel like Saria has to be the way to go here. Maybe Sawney saw where Bagu's Woods was somewhere else. I was just going back to it. Not having that hint is a little sad. Okay, that's just a fairy, not a guarantee that is Bagu's Woods. I'm fairly certain Riverman hints was in the patch notes. Because it was bugged for a while where if the sleepy bot, it had the Bagu hint, but also it could roll an actual hint. And so sometimes the Bagu hint just disappeared because of that. And then we moved it to the Riverman, partially as a resolution for that bug, but also partially because it plays a lot better if the hint is on both sides of the river. It was fixed in the sense that moving it to the Riverman sort of alleviated the issue. But we talked for a while about liking moving it to the Riverman because you can get the hint from both sides. It really sucks to have a required Zarya where you're just looking for a mystery Bagu's Woods and you don't have a hint. We'd had a couple of races like that. All right, so we're seeing Vaughn's looking around to see if he missed something. And so yeah, Sawny went all the way back here just to check these woods. I feel like maybe that's the thing he should have done when he was here the first time. Yeah, this is Bagu's Woods. Like this was the way forward. I don't know. I feel like you probably want to get the hint, and even if you don't know where the hint is, this is the most obvious place to look for Bagu. But I don't know, maybe, Bagu can sometimes not be on the top of people's minds. It is kind of an unusual thing for progression, but it's not like I would argue that Jaugen may have been broken in the first place. As we're waiting here for one of our runners to finally find Bagu. Okay, here we are. Not a terrible find. Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds. One of my favorite Bagu notes. Shoutouts to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Okay, so Sawny gonna be the first one to find Zarya. Both runners. Vaughn the first one to find Zarya, but Sawny gonna be the first one to figure out crossing this Zarya here. And man, this path is kind of long. A game over could be really punishing. Thankfully, level's pretty reasonable on both. Here's a cave. This is almost certainly our cave off the east. If it's a kind cave, it's going to go east. If it's a mean cave, we're going to Death Mountain. Oh, that's Peabag Cave. My bad. So the mean thing here is any key. We get an any key that puts the palaces back in logic, adds the possibility of needing to go and double dip P4. Okay, it's a hammer. So we did see that hammer block close to start. That probably is our cave off. But Sawny gonna definitely check the rest of this end of the map before upping. And Vaughn, meanwhile, seems confused. Yeah, okay. Yep, Sawny getting good confirmation. There's nothing left, and there's the up A. Losing about 500 points, so a little sad. better to keep moving, better to go fast. And we're going to see what's behind the rock. Free magic jar, thanks. And it's Death Mountain. Oh boy. So I like Sawney's initial trip down to the bottom here. Ooh, and there's a good cave right there. That down-facing cave. Just to the edge here. This is going to be one of our important caves. And it's the one that goes east, and there's a bridge right there. Okay. So Death Mountain, but easy. I was saying, if there is going to be a bridge or a raft, it's almost always at one end of the canyon or the other. And so you want to check those ends first if you can. And especially since Sawney spawned right next to the southern end of the map there, checking the south end of the map is good. And it turned out there was just a really obvious cave there as well, but Little John had visited that wall previously. Ooh, and a rough death for Vaughn. Didn't quite make it back to the woods. Gonna have to go through that path again. And this could be really frustrating for any runner. That you get you get caught up in a where am I going, what am I doing, I have no idea where logic is, this absolutely sucks, and then you put together that sorry is going to be the way forward here. Yeah, well, as soon as you finish the west and you make it through Death Mountain to the east here, this whole scene seems to have blown up. Those boots are going to make it way easier to traverse the west. And potentially be helpful here in the east, too. So Thunder as well here in New Kasuto. So just the Fairy Spell left. Fairy Spell likely to be our dungeon progress. And Sawney, okay, I like this from Sawney. You've got the hammer. You know it's a canyon, Death Mountain. Making a rock check is a real quick, easy item. And oh my god, glove. Brutal. All right, well, Sawney went from running around not knowing where things were to almost in go mode in just a couple minutes. The only thing we're going to need here is to find where the maze is. Here's the maze. And also some way to logically clear palaces. So we're looking for any key or fairy spell. And we got a pretty good chance that fairy spell is not going to be kid blocked, but we're going to get more information in just a second here. Not kid block confirmed. So likely go mode here for Sawneyrath. Yeah, to some extent you can say that Sawney got lucky. I don't think it's a terrible check. It's one of those things where searching DM is normally bad. It's normally going to be a slow check. But when you have boots, you know it's a canyon, you've already got the hammer, and you're right next to the entrance to Death Mountain, all of a sudden, the rock goes from a slow check to a fairly fast check. And the lucky bit is just that it was there instead of in Hammer Cave, because I suspect Sawney would not have kept looking for Hammer Cave if the rock didn't contain anything good. All right, so Vaughn finally making it to Bagu. Gonna make it across, probably at least like 5 minutes behind, unfortunately, at this point. Sawney learning to press up. Not as important as pressing down, but he was wanting to press down. My mistake. That's right, he got Fairy Spell immediately up A. This makes sense. I was watching Mon for a second. And might as well get Shield Spell while you're here. Alright, so 4-3-4, Fairy Spell, down stab. Got everything you need. Time to start clearing palaces. The only thing that's a little bit sad about this route is that it's going to mean a double dip of both continents for Sawney, because he needs to end on the west. Probably do 4 and GP at the end because they're right next to each other. Okay, he's just going to go, yeah, he's just going to go straight to the east and do like Maze Island because it's right there. And then probably do pull palaces on the east. And then, well, I guess this palace is right here. And then do Death Mountain up A out. Do the 3 or 6 in the west, and then 4, and then GP. Solid route to sort of minimize backtracking. That's a fairly cheap fairy for Magic 3, having easily 2 casts with 6 bars. 5 would have been enough. Wow, and here's the freest P2 ever. I guess it's not the freest P2. The freest P2 would be, you know, go down the elevator a couple screens and there's the boss. Here he had to go right 1 screen before getting an elevator that leads straight to the boss. All right, well, hold on to your horses because this is a slow start, but it's going to be a quick finish probably. I mean, GP still has the potential to troll everyone, but Sony's got all the important stuff. There we go. So I take a quick look and realizing, wait, I have the boots. Why would I consider following these roads when I can just bypass them? All right, P1, nice second palace. Meanwhile, Vaughn is doing his stuff in the east. Gonna get attack 4 here. I think it's attack 4. Oh, he hasn't made it to the east yet. He got the hammer, and I think he's just trying to farm out this level before he up A's. Ooh, and Fire Link to Shield with that cast from Vaughn. Oh, is this a game over? No, not a game over. Okay. Let's see. Cast Shield, my dude. Oh no, a key! That's not the level. Alright, here it is. And a flute in 1. That could be required, but it's very unlikely. We do have random 3-eyed rock on. Yeah, I don't know if you saw, Irene. The Ultra Sword one did come up again in one of my races this week. Sawney just sort of cruising here in P1. Not nearly as free as P2. Speaking of not free, here's a dead end. Sawney's gonna run it out and be looking for a key. He's gonna find a key. Just doesn't even get it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I did see the one, Irene. I was just pointing out that I saw it again we were waiting a long time for it to come up. So Vaughn gonna do a different route here in GP, and this is what I was talking. Ooh, just randomly finds Hammer Cave up here in the north. This is a little unfortunate for Vaughn because he does have that glove hint, and so it's definitely, from his perspective, correct to check this, even though we know it's not going to be very rewarding. This is where I was talking about where, when you enter on if you can tell you're on the south side or close to the south side of the canyon, check the short end first before the long end. Obviously, if you have boots, it doesn't matter a ton, but just an Octorok. Vaughn's gonna get his item in a second here. This is one thing that can be a little bit safer in these rooms. Like, in addition to casting shield for the shield, if you know it's shield fire, using shield to get the fire effect can be really good in the dark here too. If it's an enemy that can be hit by fire, obviously you damage it and light it up. And if it's an enemy that can't be hit fire, you're at least gonna tink off of it to see where it is. A candle pickup from Vaughn. This up A is probably faster than walking out, I think. So it makes sense. It's a really nice small enemy drop pool. It's got keys, 1-ups, 500 bags, and 100 bags. Yeah, Vaughn just gonna break the rock again. That makes sense. Thunder from Sawneyrath to get life 5. Nice, but this has still been a really long P1. And yeah, here's the end of the 100% here. Oh, Sonny had already killed the boss. Sorry, I missed that. He sort of just got deleted. Okay, so Vaughn's definitely going to know that cave takes him elsewhere. For those not in the know, it's the reason that cave is so obvious is because it's pointing down into the edge of the map. It obviously doesn't have a corresponding cave, and so it must be a transport somewhere. All right, Vaughn picking up the glove. This makes sense. You got the hint. You know it's on the rock at this point, so definitely go grab it. So now Sony just needs to find Valley of Death and the last palace here on the east. It's either going to be 5 or the other 3-6. I'm going to get boot. Sony gets a cross. And one of these is the entrance to Valley of Death. There's a 3-eyed rock. Worth a check. Sony. Yeah, jump, I don't know if you want, but upstab is going to be good. No, there is no custom text for asking a wizard for something you already have. It's something that doesn't come up a ton. So if I did do something with custom music, talking to somebody who, when you already had their thing, I would likely not make it community text, but I'd do it just to have that wizard give you a recap of what he gave you, in case you forgot. I know in the current flags, it's pretty easy. You just check your menu and see what spell comes from what town, but in 4.4, that will be less obvious in certain flag sets. And so, okay, never mind. Sawneyrath is great. He went into the middle of 3-eyed rock in order to check it. And then as he walked into it, he revealed the last remaining palace just hanging out right next to it. It's like, oh, I don't actually need to play the flute. Yeah, like I said, it's in 4.4 when the wizards can have things other than spells. You might not remember. So maybe that's a thing for 4.4. Maybe it's not. But right now they still just say the same. You know, there's nothing more I can teach you. Yeah, Sony's just getting a bunch of free 500s. Although, definitely reaching the point where probably not going to gain any extra levels. He's got 2 gems placed at this point and 4 to go. So that's going to put him at like 577, 667, something like that. 666 maybe. It could be like 567 burn a gem. Not gonna be too far off. Oh, dead end. Meanwhile, Vaughn, you know, it took him a while to get established here in the East, but pretty quickly picking up all his required things. Has a fairy, has a glove, has some boots, ready to start punching some palaces as well. And he's going to go into one immediately. So 2 for Vaughn. I believe this is 5 for Sawneyrath. This is not what you want to be doing yet. Confirmation of 5 on those windows. So left wasn't good. Sony going to try the elevator. Gets rewarded with another left. Don't know why Sony's checking the statues. This is E5. I appreciate Sony not wanting to break all those blocks. This is a neat design room. You know, you can clear it with glove or fairy, but if you do it with fairy, it's quite a bit faster. Yeah, wow, and attack 3 way worse than attack 4 on this helmet head. But he does get the double level, so attack and life gonna be a nice reward. Oh yeah, wow. Pretty reasonable. 200 points from the boss, that means that they are not going to get any more magic. They do have to be a little bit careful, but... Alright, so Vaughn not taking the ocean route, and wow, just a perfectly clean path. It's going to save a little bit of time over taking the edge if there were no encounters to begin with. Yeah, so Magic 4, 6 bars, only enough for 2 casts for Vaughn. But Magic 5, 7 bars, gonna be good for Sony for 3 casts. Is that the 3rd copy of this room we've seen across our palaces today? Maybe it was only 1 in the previous palace. We just saw it a few times. So Vaughn following a similar route to Sony. Gonna see Maze. We're gonna see. So we saw 2, then 1. Probably gonna do 5 next. I suspect he'll want to stay out he is going to save a little bit of time by not going back to the west to get downstab on his current routing, but then again, potentially also costing some time. You know, who knows how much downstab will save. All right, Sony takes a death, but got a whole bunch more lives. I think that was 4 tries left. And I don't know if shield spell or not. Sony has different tunic colors and projectile randomize on, so hard to say whether that was shield or not. Yeah, man, just slightly short. He had made some effort to kill some enemies, go double back for some P bags, and just doesn't make the double level. He could potentially hold on. Wow, kind of surprised. There's only 20 more XP to get attack 5 instead of life 6. But decides to just take the next level. Okay, what boots look like? Is that boots required for Valley? Yeah, boots required for Valley of Death. So 3 cast a fairy to make these fairy feet no problem, even if he screws up one of them like that. As Vaughn follows basically the same route through P1 as Sawney, gonna pretty quickly get the horse down, so it's gonna be 3 bosses to 2 still. One palace advantage for Sawneyrath. And like this time Vaughn saved from not going back to the west, it's like a couple of minutes. It's a pretty significant chunk of time. It's not gonna recover an entire palace, and he almost certainly will lose a little bit of that picking up downstab when he up A's, but never mind, he's just going to up A now. So he is going to take that double dip to get downstab. Last fairy feed for Sonny. And makes it. He gonna reset? No, not gonna reset to get the life, but he is gonna try for the jar. Of course, if you want the Iron Knuckle, you get the jar. If you want the jar, you get the Iron Knuckle. This is just how the game works. You people remember the NES's mind reading capabilities? They were way ahead of their time. Alright, Sonny's gonna do the blind item check here. It's a raft. Cool. Not actually useful, but the best pickup would have been our container at this point, but we still haven't seen either side of the raft. It's probably somewhere in the east to the north end of Death Mountain or something. Yeah, just more one-ups in the pool. Okay, so Vaughn is in Palace 3, so he decided to do at least 3 first. I doubt he's going to go all the way up to 4 and do that. I think you're going to see both runners do 4 as the last palace just because it's right next to GP. But doing these palaces that are at least roughly on your way doesn't hurt any. It's a quick one, so Having down stab going to help Vaughn quite a bit here on Rebo. Not quite the setup. A couple different setups you could do to position him, but it does depend both on what pixel you're standing on and how long you hold down the A button, how far he goes. But Vaughn corrects perfectly well. This shield fire is really, really nice little bit of combat time save. Doom Knocker doing his best up there on the ceiling. Yep, this is how it is. Okay, so yeah, Vaughn's gonna do this other palace. I think it's like right over here. Just literally right over here. I think you just hold right. Nope, I'm wrong. I don't actually remember where the last palace was. And it seems like Vaughn doesn't either. Oh, there is no last palace. That's right. It's 4 and GP are the last two. Yeah. Okay, yeah, just take the rock. What am I thinking? 3 palaces includes GP. All right, Sonny finding a big old Argon here. Okay, yeah. Casting the shield spell turns Sawneyrath's beams into hammers are fire, and regular tunic color is the shield color. Very clean on Barba. Oh, 300 points. Doesn't actually matter here, but it's a big womp womp in the XP. On picking up stab and doing the magic refill trick to get full magic after. Okay, so Sonny's got 2 palaces left. And yeah, like I expected, full clear the east, come back, do this closed palace in the west, do 4, and then do GP right next to 4. So this is going to be, he's got attack 5, this is going to be magic 6, and then we'll see what he does with the last gem. Alright, so Sonny in 3 now, Vaughn in 5, just sort of an inversion of what they were previously. Sonny's still just a full palace ahead, plus however long it takes Vaughn to get down stab, and this is just, unfortunately, it was just Vaughn got a little bit lost early and hasn't been able to quite make up enough time. Probably has made up a couple of minutes of time, maybe 3 or 4 minutes behind instead of 5 or 6, but still has a chance coming into GP. It's always a chance. Definitely have been runners in this and previous tournaments lose 10 or 15 minute leads coming into GP. but it's going to have to be a pretty trolly GP for that to happen. Sony's definitely making this look pretty smooth. Although, where is Sony going? Like, maybe he doesn't remember where. Nice use of that magic jar tile to get an encounter reset, but it's all the way up in the northeast. Got to go north through this cave. Potentially you can go around the water, but I don't think so. Yeah, so little block there. So for people who are interested in learning more about the finer bits of how different biomes work in vanilla, it's sort of meant to be like vanilla, not only in the sense that it's a kind of a standard overworld, but in the sense that it has two parts, right? It has a north part and a south part, and there's always some border that goes all the way across the map between the north part and the south part. And here that border is made of rocks. Now, sometimes the connector between the north part and the south part is just an easily accessible road or some water you get boots for quickly, and it doesn't kind of seem like that. But if the partition between the north and south part is mountainous, like you saw there will always be a line where the line will go all the way across the entire map, aside from any roads or connections, and so that lake would never have been able to connect up to the top as long as the divider between north and south was a mountain. It's definitely getting all the way across the map. This is one of those things that doesn't matter a vast majority of the time, but if you learn a little bit more about the structure of some of the biomes, it'd save you 5 or 6 seconds there not checking that. I mean, to be fair, I know these things and I still make these kind of mistakes all the time because Z2R is difficult. Okay, Sawneyrath trying to get up. Doesn't have jump spell. Okay, gonna just do the slightly slower, easier strategy of just get your momentum from the bottom. Yeah, so we didn't get life spell for either runner. There's no trophy. So gonna be leaning pretty heavily into that shield fire to keep them safe in GP. On finding Guma, very nice little sequence of stabs there. That was a heck of a knockback. Gotta be a little close. Yeah, I'm gonna start using a little bit more conservative strategies with 1 bar left. Sony not recognizing this room. Sneezing for a bit there. The easiest way to recognize the pass-through version of that room from the other versions, the pass-through version of the room always has 2 enemies standing on the stairs, 1 on each stair, and no flyer. So those are the things that you're looking for to determine whether you can pass through or not. Yeah, so Vaughn, maybe these palaces kind of are. It's hard to say how much is a palace behind and how much is like a palace and a half behind when these palaces have all been either, a little on the long side or completely free. Yeah, it's still possible for Vaughn. I mean, if this 4 continues to be a giant troll for Sawneyrath, it increasingly gives Vaughn an option to, or the possibility of catching up through just getting lucky on the pathing. There's another fork, it's good for Sawney. Fork leads to another fork, so we got 2 lefts and a right holding on. Oh, never mind. Got a boss. And just immediately gonna get hit. No life, no magic. Good time to take a death. Reflect and shield. So let's see what strategy. Okay, Sawney's gonna go walk it back. Do it a little bit ahead of the left pillar. I like this one. It's a good spot. And makes short work. So gonna be, despite that kind of really rough early sequence, Sawney gonna be definitely sub-hour into GP. Man, both runners choosing to get this item. I'm not sure I would have made that decision. Especially, you know, if you got lost early and you feel like you're behind. It's one of those things where it's like, it's gonna take me 30 seconds, you know, maybe 40 seconds out with these missed jumps to go get the item and walk all the way back. And, you know, what do you need at this point, right? You're definitely in go mode. You know everything you need to beat the seed. The only thing that would be useful is, you know, safety in any key or another hard container or something. Yes, so Sawney is in go mode. He knows that the item in this palace is the trophy, because they got a hint for it earlier. So it could just be that he is feeling behind and really wants to get, or necessarily, maybe he's feeling ahead and feels like he has enough time to kill, to get life spell, because life spell is behind this trophy. Yeah, if the thing Sawney's looking for is a key, I would say it's maybe not worth it, although it is what he was doing and what he got. The key required room is a possibility, always. All right, 5733. A trophy is life. Fire was in Firetown, but neither runner picked it up because they had shield and had already seen that shield is fire. Yeah, this is a nice calm GP color for once. You know, it's not, you know, black and red or bright pink. That Bago Bago room could be nice to farm some stuff. We know the small enemy pool is pretty good. And yeah, like, if you really felt like you needed a key, like, you know, keys are in the small enemy pool. Like, you could farm that Bago Bago room for keys if it came down to, like, it's not going to be as fast as going and getting a key in that palace, probably, but also, you know, the vast majority of the time, you're not going to have to end up doing it, so... Sawney taking a couple of hits. Ooh, and a death. So now that death gives an interesting question. You know, when you're so close to the entrance, when you kill Thunderbird, do you obey or keep going? As Vaughn beats Barba, but takes an unintentional lava bath and gonna very safely ferry on his last life. A little bit off pattern for Sawney, but easily gets back on it. Wow, that's a triple going right. Very neat. Sawney not taking the up A. I would be taking the up A there. But it's not like one of those things where, you know, it's just wrong to keep going. As definitely runners are gonna make different decisions that are both justifiable, but this is a bit of a gamble, right? You're gonna save probably about a minute if you don't game over, but if you do game over, you're gonna lose, you know, who knows how many minutes, 3, 4, 5. So, you know, if you're real comfortable, then you're going to be good. How fast can Vaughn 4? You can 4 pretty quickly. Although Vaughn is back in Death Mountain. Don't know why he isn't just up A. Vaughn's going back east. Did he miss something? I think he may have forgotten which continent 4 was on. This is not vanilla for Not in the Maze, no. Did he not see the far northeast side? Does he not know that's where GP and 4 is? It's a possibility. If you didn't see the far northeast, you could think that we haven't seen the last connector yet. So Bond may think that there is a I think bridge is our last connector. So Bond may think that there's a bridge leading to a second segment up in that northwest of the west, but you could just walk up there, and wow, just kind of a free GP here for Sawney. Like 2.5 minutes between killing a basically free Thunderbird and finding Darkwing. So, bit of an anticlimactic end. I'm not going to be able to catch up this time, and Sawney is going to advance on to a fairly tough opponent in Level Engine in the next round, but we're getting to the point where they're all tough, so. Get your GGs in chat for Sawneyrath. I don't have an official time, but the bot will probably have it for us in just a second here. 102.56. GGs. I'm going to see if either of our... Well, I'm going to see if Sawney wants to get an interview. And it looks like Vaughn has thrown in the towel. I don't blame him. Okay, and we've got Sawneyrath with us. And GG, man, that was a weird one.
That was an interesting one. I think my gamble going back to Spec Rock just to check what that was is one of the things that made a huge difference.
Yeah, so in the beginning, Vaughn was a little bit ahead just in routing the west. you ended up finding. It's weird. Both of you got to Saria. Both of you didn't get the hint for Bagu's Woods. Both of you left without finding Bagu's Woods right next to town. And then you were the first one to go back to those woods and find them. So that gave you like a 4 or 5 minute advantage coming into the east. While doing that, though, Vaughn had found a hint for Glove and DM. So we were a little bit concerned, maybe you wouldn't find it, but when you got those boots right next to DM, it was like, well, it's basically a free check right there, and that ended up being Glove. Hammer Cave was buried way up in the northeast of DM, so it would have been a trickier find.
Yeah, that definitely would have been a more tricky find, and if it had been in Hammer Cave, that would have cost a little bit more time, because I wasn't planning on going to find Hammer Cave until I absolutely needed it, which in this case, I didn't need it. So, thank goodness for that.
Yeah. And then, so you were just, from that earlier advantage coming into the east, you were probably, somewhere between 4 and 6 minutes ahead, about a palace ahead, going through the palaces. And then unfortunately right at the end, we found out that Vaughn never found where those 2 palaces all the way up in the northeast were in the west. And so we were sort of hoping that Vaughn might have been able to catch up, but unfortunately for him, GP was completely free, so...
Yeah, the palaces being up in the northeast part of the west, especially with how this west was laid out, was very interesting. Because I found both the palaces after finding... it was before I found Saria. And then I went and found Saria, where Bagu's Woods was next to. Thought that I might have missed something and went, oh no, what have I done? What have I missed? And that's where I remembered there was the one cave that was hammer blocked, which was the connector to the maze. Went into Bagu's Wood, or found Bagu's Woods, found Bagu, went into Saria, went across, got that hammer, and then went, okay, that's what the hammer blocked cave is. It's a connector. And everything else just continued from there. I'm glad I ended up starting off checking the southern part of Death Mountain first instead of heading north to find that connector over to the east. Otherwise, that DM would have taken me a bit longer.
Yeah, what I was saying to chat is when you spawn into a canyon DM like that, it's always best to check. Like you could tell that you were like all the way on the south end, and it's always better to check the short side first, because rafts and bridges almost always spawn all the way in the north or all the way in the south in that orientation. And so you want to check whichever one you're close to, just to optimistically be like, is there a quick way out of here? So it was the right call, both from a general routing perspective and from a turned out to be the right way for this race as well. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately the difference on the west, I mean, it was a wild sort of forced sequence on the west, and you got ahead there, and then both of you basically were clearing the palaces, you taking the same routes, the same way, you know. That lead ended up carrying you basically all the way up to the end. But I do, with Vaughn in chat now, I do just have one thing to say. Talk to the Riverman. If you don't know where Bagu is, the Riverman always has a hint that tells you where Bagu's Woods is. That could have been real useful.
Don't worry, I forget that every time. I mean, a lot of people do. I mean, both of you did this, and it turns out it was right there. It was right next to town. But that could have made quite a bit of difference. Yeah, we never saw either side of the raft tile from that entire seed. So I presumably it went from like somewhere in the east to the north end of Death Mountain or something. But
we just both of you picked up that raft, and it ended up being, who knows if it was even useful.
Yeah, because after we had Glove, Thunder, Fairy, and Reflect all for free, we were just off to the races at that point.
Yeah, we were saying at like 18 minutes into the race, you had basically nothing and no idea what was going on, and 23 minutes into the race, you were in go mode. It's just a 5-minute span where you got every single useful item, and it was like, okay, well.
I saw that and I went...
This was almost some hour, right? Like, it really despite how trolly that beginning was, it ended up being kind of free.
Yeah, it was really close to another sub-hour, and as soon as I saw free Thunder and free Fairy, I went, oh no, we're setting up for another sub-hour if everything goes well.
Yeah, and Fire Shield was a nice little convenient combat helper.
Oh my gosh, was it ever?
It's good. The actual fire spell gets kind of a bad rap. It's a pretty good spell. The problem is it just costs an absolute fortune until late.
Usually until about Magic 6 is where it really, really drops. But otherwise, fire is a hidden gem.
If fire was like between 8 and 4 magic, like you'd see people, like even if it was like just as cheap as shield, you'd see people using it all the time. It's not really worth, spending 40 magic to get a fire.
Oh,
even when enemies are invincible without it.
I mean, the only exception on that is if fire's thunder, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, and Vaughn in chat saying that he figured he was way behind unless he needed that raft for a segment, and you were behind at that point. It's one of those things. Whenever you spend any amount of time just lost, not knowing what's going on, immediately alarm bells go off in your head. Like, my opponent did everything right. I'm gonna lose this race. What am I doing running around? Why can't I find the path? And sometimes that's true and sometimes that's not. But I understand, thinking you're way behind and wanting to take a gamble.
I do have one question for Vaughn, and that's, were you able to get the doorbell? Were you able to ring it? Because I was able to ring the doorbell, so I'm hoping you were too. And I don't have chat pulled up right now.
He said he missed it. Oh, he's talking about Fire. No, he's talking about Fire Shield. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, you said he was early on the spellcast. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not a reference I get.
Okay, so the doorbell is you swing your sword, hit the back wall of New Kasuto, and cast spell on the same frame or set of frames where your sword is tinking against the wall, so you have that sound play through the entire time spell power is coming out.
That's neat.
We made a gentleman's agreement before even scheduling this race that we were going to do that. At least attempt it.
That sounds cool. Yeah, I did see you stabbing the wall there, but I didn't know there was a thing for that. I didn't have your audio on at that time.
Yep.
Here in the booth, the audio's not the same.
That's true.
Yeah. So anyways, it was still a good race, even though it turned out to be a little lopsided, just because there was a bunch of cool stuff going on. But Sawney, you're moving on. How do you feel your chances are against Level Engine in the next round?
I'm going to have a lot of fun against Level Engine. I know that he has been around for a very, very long time in the Z2R community, and I am but a fledgling. But even with that in consideration, just the amount of stuff I have learned from being in upstarts this year to all of the races I've had so far in this standard tournament, including the casual races, I'm extremely excited for this.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match. I mean, there's a lot of good matches coming up all over the bracket in the next round. So look forward to those. Vaughn, I know you're in chat. I'm going to have the opportunity to play in the NIT if you want. And that should also be a good time. Those matches are always a blast to watch. You can watch Mariah and Slabu play 1,000 times, and it's fun every time. But it's seeing newer runners, seeing runners you don't see as much play is always a blast. Just to see new things. Yeah, okay, Vaughn definitely going to do it absolutely great. I look forward to watching your races.
We were actually talking about the NIT before the race started, and we both were like, no, we're jumping into the NIT. It doesn't matter which one of us wins or loses. We're going to keep playing on in the tournament, if you will.
Yeah. So I'm going to look forward to both of your races then going forward. And we should have, man, this is just going to be an awesome set of seeds for this next round in the next couple weeks. And then it's only going to get crazier from there. So good luck in your future rounds.
I appreciate it, Elendar, and the same to you, because I mean we're both still in the tournament, and anything can happen.
Oh man, I've got a fun one. I still haven't scheduled it, but it's me and Digshake this round, so we have the
That's
double.
a classic.
I will point out I have never beaten Digshake in a Z2R tournament before, so don't count on it now.
Hey, there's a first.
But I'm gonna
for
do my
everything.
best.
There is a first for everything, my friend.
I like to say I'm undefeated so far in this tournament against people who haven't won the tournament before. Unfortunately, Digshake has won the tournament before, so it's going to be a tough one.
That's fair, and I know Level Engine. I've watched Level Engine play many a time. I've watched the older tournaments that Level Engine played in. Oh my goodness, I am both excited and nervous, but more excited than nervous. I'm so ready for this.
Cool. Well, any last thoughts from either you or Vaughn in chat before we take it away here?
Vaughn, I told you we were pretty evenly matched before we even came into this game, and this game definitely showed it. GG's to you, my friend, and definitely kick some butt in the NIT. Elendar, thank you so much for commentating, and JLo, thank you for tracking.
All right. First of all, start out by shouting out both of our runners, Vaughn and Sawney. Thank you to Elendar for commentating, and to JLo for tracking. I don't have any Z2R on the schedule for tomorrow, but we do have Game 3 of the ALTTVR Challenge Cup semifinals. So that should be a good race. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. So this will be it for us tonight. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you later.